more. I tell you we want church. We won't have to cry no more.
Hi, and welcome to another segment of KISS. That is Keep It Simple, Sir. Keep It Simple, Senorita. Keep It Simple, Super Sisters. And thanks of God. We thank you for another production we have today. Have another production coming your way for the very special guest from the community. Praise God, and is working, as I was told, a peacemaker of the community. I'm going to let him introduce himself and give you how to get in touch with him and briefly, and then we'll get on with our subject today, peacemaker and the village concept.
Yes, how you doing? Thanks for having me. My name is Darren Byrd, and I'm the founder and director of the VMBC 937, which is violence, violence, mentoring, bullying, and conflict resolution. Just work out with the community with a lot of kids, advocate for them, with them as much as I can. Also, I'm certified in gang violence. Been Chicago and LA trained. I'm trauma trained and stuff like that. Been mentoring here for a couple years, and it started with me coaching football, and it kind of went from there till me doing it, you know, after hours and in the community and stuff like that. Ended up working for Omega in a program, community initiative to reduce gun violence, and I was a street advocate, as a violence interrupter and stuff like that for 11 years. So it kind of picked up from there. So we were just out in the community talking to the young brothers and sisters, the ones that was coming home from jail, some of them that had gun crimes and stuff like that. So we kind of like was intervening, almost like the street big brother or big sister or whatever, trying now to show them, you know, do something different.
Believe me, my hat's off to you.
Thank
that
you.
is a special ministry.
Yes.
And I must say, everybody cannot do the ministry unless God give them to it.
Yeah.
I did prison ministry for several years myself before, and moved on to other outreach ministries. And it's a very much needed.
Yes.
And as I said so many times, it's the mind that we have to get a hold of.
Yeah.
We can do all other different things, program finance, but until we get that mind on the right road, which really is the mainstay.
Yes.
And a lot of things we can do. It was just like I was telling someone years ago on outreach, and they were talking about going to the neighborhoods, dropping food for and clothing. And I said, a little lady got up one time and said, I see you giving food, I see you giving clothing, but those people don't know nothing what you're about.
Right.
They don't know nothing about God, they don't know about your
Right.
feeling, they don't know about love. All they know, you drop some food off and you drop some clothes off.
Yeah.
And I said my hat's off because there's so many don't have the time to deal with what I know you deal with.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes some strength.
Yeah, it's definitely a 24/7 job. Like, I'm always available. I mean, I get up in the middle of the night sometimes if kids, you know, might have had some issues or whatever home and maybe on the streets or something like that. We'll go down and we'll open up the building and just sit and let them talk. And I agree with you about it's okay if you dropping stuff out, you know, down there once a month or whatever. I guess it makes you feel good, but they really don't buy into that unless they see you on a regular basis. And they, like you said, you open up your heart or you share your story with them, and then, you know, you'll begin to start a relationship. And then as soon as you pull up, they right there, hey, coach, you know, everybody call me Coach Byrd because I've been coaching for years, football, basketball, baseball, whatnot. So they'll see me. So I get that accolade or that type of, hey, that's Coach Byrd or whatever. Don't do that, don't, you know, certain things. And, you know, I just like being in the neighborhood because I used to be one of those guys. So back then in my 20s and stuff like that, I was one of the guys that was in the street running around with the so-called gangs and stuff like that, and getting a lot of the, rec centers and stuff like that, just trouble, you know, just from, you know, violence and fighting. And just one day, you know, by me having my kids and looking at my kids, I said, I can't, you know, keep going on like this. I at least want to be here. I don't want them visiting me behind bars and stuff like that. And that's how I got my first coaching job. Nobody showed up, and I was like, well, I'm an athlete or whatever. Ended up coaching back at the Jefferson Y back there years ago. And when my kids were 3 and 4. And after that, I just like came home and kind of like, prior to that, I had been, asking God and saying a little prayer, God, find me something to do with this time. I don't want to be doing nothing street. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And I can't say I was rushing him, but, they say it on God's time. So whenever he felt it was his time, then that opportunity presented itself, and I took it. I never looked back, never got back into the streets, never sold drugs, never done that. And I've always been giving back whatever to the kids and stuff from then on, probably 30-some years.
Let's see, that was your purpose.
Yeah.
A lot of times people think it's just a bit of jargon, but I believe wholeheartedly, even as God told Jeremiah, I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. I had ordained you to do such thing before you even got there.
Yeah.
It taking you a path to get there.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah, it did.
Moses was already called to do something too.
Yeah.
But it taken a few times to get there.
Yeah.
I said, he knew how to be like a king. He knew how to fight like a king child. He knew how to do all the things. But he had not learned to do it God's way.
That's right.
And it taken him 40 years.
Yeah, 40 years. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Sometimes we'll take that long road and you still hear that voice. And, I was raised in a church up under Reverend Henderson over at Corinthian. My grandma and them started that. So it wasn't, I was devout of learning the word. I knew it.
Yes.
So it was just like, being your ear, and you kind of, I tell everybody, even though my dad wasn't really all that present and stuff in the life I did, that's the first thing my mom did. Oh, I got something for you. Took me down to the church. Of course, we had those deacons that, they'd sit up there and, you'll squirm in church and try to eat your candy, and they just turn around and kind of give you that look, And this Deacon Freeman, that was the first one I had. He was my Sunday school teacher, Alvin Freeman, and he was my mentor. Played baseball with him and stuff like that. So it was my mom. She didn't play. She's like, okay, I know what to do, and that whole village concept. And I was sharing with some of the kids the other day. I work at the school, and I was telling them that when we got in trouble, they always say back in the day, and I was like I heard you earlier on your other show saying it ain't that far back in the day, but that back in the day, you got maybe whooped or punished 4 or 5 times before you even got to your mama's house, and you hope for God that your grandma don't pull up and boy, you embarrass the family and get whooped again. So that whole village concept, and where your neighborhood and stuff, everybody knew everybody, you could discipline and stuff like that. And I figured like some of that is like missing, because now it's hard for you to approach a kid, and that parent, no matter right, wrong, or indifferent, they don't want to let you do it.
Yes. Oh, I know.
I know.
It's a different than the Miss Green days.
Yeah, exactly.
Threw it off.
Yeah. That mayor that sit on that porch, and she know everything, everybody. So yeah, it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot different.
Because Miss Green would go up to your parents and tell them.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we had Miss Peavy that worked at the boys club, and if you get in trouble before you get home, Miss Peavy already didn't call home and everything. Like, oh yeah, Miss Peavy said you can't come back for a week. What was you doing at the boys club? And you like, oh man. So yeah.
It was okay. And sometimes you was wanting to be done with that neighbor. Okay, they got me. I don't want to have to go home. Don't have to tell mom I'm okay.
Yeah.
But somehow it always filtered back to home, and they found out about you. And that was the beauty in the neighbors and the parents sticking together.
Yes.
The old thing that says, together we stand, and sometimes we say that, but we're so divided, and some of the younger parents, like you said, they're ready to go to battle with their child, whether they was right or wrong. Right. And before I got in the Father, I know we got started, and not my fault, but the Lord knows how he works things anyway.
Right.
I look at the Bible scripture that I chose for a lesson after what I did learn about the work and the ministry you've done with Reverend Ruby and some of the things they shared with him. And I chose Matthew the 5th chapter 9th verse. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. And so, in other short term, you're a child of God.
Yes.
In the heart that God have for. Because there's a lot of things, people do a lot of things, but if they do it without the heart, it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
A lot of times it becomes hard, it becomes a job, it becomes drooling. Yeah. Already you're confronted with something.
Yes.
But if it's not from a heart thing, it don't make it any better.
Yeah.
You really have to love what you're doing. Many of the times when I was doing the prison ministry, and sometimes we call it carry a concert in there.
Yes.
And near the end, my wife living then. She said, it's time to go. I looked around and said, let's go. Then she started looking at me, she said, where you going? We still in here. The guards had left us in the gymnasium.
Right.
But it becomes so heartfelt. It becomes so, like I said, there are real people like you and I.
Yes.
But it's different things in society, peer pressure, the whole thing, that shape these people. I don't care if the person on death row, if they give me a visitation, I'm sitting there with them one-on-one in the cell, they're just like you and I.
Yeah.
They have the same values, they have seemingly, but because they're incarcerated, get caught up in something, people like them as the animal or beast, but that mentality is not what it's all about.
No, yeah. I think they don't, society will say, pay your debt to society, but do you ever really when it comes to, the inmates and stuff coming home and all that? It's like you rehabilitated me into either a better criminal or something like that. Like rehabilitate makes you the same person you are, or you better of that same person. And if you're talking about you were a criminal going in, and if you didn't get the right word or the right teaching or the right understanding, then you're probably gonna come out and be the same, or you're gonna be worse. So I know guys like me, you and Brother Tony and Shaq and all that, that's really what we try to work on, like the minds and the hearts, because it's okay to do that, but you have to find something that's going to intertwine us and make us like this, and then we can be able to work. Because if we trust each other down here in our gut, we can definitely trust each other, from then on. So that's how I kind of reach them. And I've been in and put your guns up, and here come Mr. Byrd, and and all that. I'll be at skating, the clubs. I'm like everywhere, and I guess it's ministry of a different kind, because I'm not looking at them or what y'all doing. I'm just saying, hey, think about making sure you get home safe. That's your number one mission. And I heard you say something about you was in law enforcement, and I know that's your mission. I want to get back home, the same way I left home, and and I just tell them that's their mission. And most of them, to get out here, and like you said, it's so much social media stuff, it's so much negative stuff or whatever, that they really don't know what to do, especially if they don't have a positive person in their life to telling them or showing them something different.
Right.
We used to ride them out to the those houses in the suburbs and all this stuff, because some of them really don't know nothing about past the west side or seeing the projects or seeing this or whatever. And we like, no, this is real live housing. You can be here too. So
yes. Oh yes, that's a positive thing, and that's the thing about when you separate and put person. That's just like solitary confinement.
yes,
It may not be in a prison cell, but it's solitary confinement when they put you in one area.
Yeah.
And that's all you know. That limits so much about that person.
yeah.
And like you said, when you find one to get outside of that, I was like a kid in the candy store.
Yeah, it
what?
does.
And then again, you mean I can have this too without all of looking on my shoulder and the way that I have learned the streaks to develop. And the sad thing about it, and I know you understand this as well, and we covered on some of the other shows, it's all about the paper, as the people call it.
Yeah. Yep.
People are making money off your mistakes.
That's it.
Making money off of your faults. And so there are people out there that are actually still feeding you to do that from a higher position.
Yep.
And I shared with one of the brothers, a friend of mine in Cleveland, and we talked about this once, and he could not wait. He said, I cannot wait tomorrow to talk to my boys. He said, I never seen it that way. I said, but do you know, actually, they are keeping employment high, not for themselves, but the old saying said crime pays.
Yes,
it does.
It does.
But it's not talking about the criminal.
I know. We're talking about the lawyers and everybody else.
The lawyer, the bondsman, the judge, the penal institution. I mean, back in the day when I was doing prison ministry, every time a reoccurring felon come, they was getting $30,000.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I know it's higher than that now.
Yeah, it's definitely higher than that now. It's probably double or triple. It's definitely higher than that now.
And some of the young guys, they have what I call, they have factories in there, and they putting out products,
Yep.
And one brother I was talking this way, and I didn't know, because I don't know what I'm talking to half the time, but
Right.
like you, and we was talking, and I was talking about how that they were really, I said, you may not want to come out and work for minimum salary, but you'll stay inside and work for 50 cents.
Yeah.
And the brother told me, he said, man, I did 6 numbers. He said, I was trying to get out because I want to get some work, get some money on my book.
Right.
He said, I worked my behind off when I found myself. And he said, I almost died when I found they was paying me 15 cents an hour.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And I said, and that's something that we have to do. Cause me to think, do you really see what you're doing?
Yeah. I always show them the difference. We like to put up, get on the whiteboard, and I'll put McDonald's and then I'll put street. And we'll put all the stuff that's in the funnel of you just working at McDonald's and how much you get a week as opposed to you being on the street and doing something illegal. And they were sitting there like amazed at once you broke it down and wrote it down like that. If you working at McDonald's, no matter what you say or you think is lame or whatever terminology you use, at the end of the day, you're going to sleep better. You ain't got to worry about nobody coming to get you, and you're going to have money in your pocket. All those things over there you got to worry about, like you said, looking over your shoulder, police coming, it's all different elements that you have to worry about when you're doing the stuff on the wrong side. So we try to encourage them, you need to get a job. If you start working now, you could be retired before you're 40 or 50 if you do the right thing and listen to the right people.
Yes. Isn't it amazing we're in the 21st century?
Yeah.
And we yet have people cannot really see the simple, like you said, the simple math part of it. And understanding the peace, of comfort, and all of those things, but we are so, I guess the media, the movies, and all those people making money off shaping.
Bishop, they're lying to them, and they fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. I wish the guys that come home would really tell
The truth.
Tell the truth. Don't say tell them that you was crying in your cell.
Yeah.
Tell them that your mom passed away and you couldn't come to her service. If you're gonna tell it all.
Yes.
I ain't gonna say don't tell your story how you want to tell it, but tell them all, because it's almost like you glorifying it and they're wearing it a badge of courage, because they think in some neighborhoods, and I ain't gonna even say in the projects or whatever, but some neighborhoods, depending on, they think that their introduction to society is having a felony, going to jail, having a gun, having sex early, whatnot or whatever, instead of 8th grade graduation, high school graduation, maybe some college, getting a good job and stuff like that. The stuff that they think is so square and so lame, but it's normal, and they rationale and say that's the other people's way of living, and I have to go all the way back to Timbuktu and try to tell them that we are the original, and everything started with us. Nothing's new under the sun. And once you enlighten them about that and start that thinking, and like you said, that light will start going on, and you could almost see their head spinning and spinning and spinning, and then you got them. No, if you don't believe me, just go find it, and then come back, and I'll see you next week, or I'll see you on Thursday or Friday, and we'll talk about it. So.
Oh yeah. And a lot of times I don't know how many people look at them, but from time to time I used to love to sit back and watch the unsung production. Because even though you see those guys so successful, the honest God, they have the same trials, tribulation, confrontation on a daily basis. Even when they move it up there yet, you want to say, somebody tell the real story.
Somebody tell the real story.
Rather than this person keep going down the wrong alley saying, eventually they're going to turn out right.
I know.
How can you look for different things to happen when you keep different results and you're doing the same thing over and over again?
Yeah. I can run my head into that wall and it's not going to be different. I'm just going to keep, the same spot. This is, the wall still going to be there. And I think that's what they want to do. They have that, we call it sometimes in our group, the Superman or superhero conflict, that you actually think nothing can hurt you. You live with that, that complex or whatever, like they only made one gun or they only made one of this and you have the whole pattern. And I'm like, do you know how many guns? I got this and that. And I'm like, do you know how many guns that they make on a daily basis? I said, just as many as McDonald's serve.
Yeah.
Really? Just as many as McDonald's serve.
And it don't take the big boom with the Glock to take
It don't
you
take
out.
it could take the BB gun, a couple in the right spot, and I try to tell them that, trying to grow up too fast. I think, we just had those 11 murders of those young people and stuff like that. And in most instances, they were trying to grow up too fast. They were involved with adults and young adults into business that they shouldn't have been a part of. Yeah. And, end up costing them, or they didn't know, like what we teach about the conflict resolution. I could be mad at you and we could maybe get in a fist fight or a physical altercation, but at some point when we know it's escalating, because at first we was just talking and we was cracking, then we had a stick fight, then we had a rock fight, knife fight, end up to a gunfight. Somewhere somebody has to stop and do some type of conflict resolution and like, hey, we live next door to each other. We ride the same bus. My cousin is your cousin's cousin's cousins, and and figure out where the common ground. So we put scenarios and stuff in front of them to, kind of like a pressure type of thing, just to see how you how you're gonna react and how you should react to the certain situation.
Oh yes, and that's all part of the system. Well, training always comes repetitious.
Yes.
And a lot of times you practice something, that thing become a part of you. It's not necessarily the right thing. When you first start smoking, I don't know if you smoke, when I first started smoking, you cough your head up. Everybody said, I don't want this.
Yeah, I don't want that, right, yep.
But then when your body gives in, you can peacefully blow circles. It's not that it's any better.
That's what it was about, Bishop. Everybody want to blow them circles. You talk to them cool people, you see them circles. And that's the reason I try to pick up that cool, Bishop. I didn't care nothing about smoking, but what I thought that was the coolest thing, making them circles. So I spent time, like you said, coughing and gagging, trying to smoke that cigarette just so I could do that circles because, the cool kids doing it, they doing it. So that story really, because that's exactly right. That's what I was doing.
And when it got there, you was hooked.
Yeah, I was hooked.
And then when you was able to blow circles without coughing, then you had to have it.
Yeah.
And your body, you force your body to take something that was not natural. And that goes on the alcohol and everything
else.
And then to the point that now you have forced your body to do something that it didn't want to do in the beginning. Now it has to have that.
Yep, now it's dependent on it.
To be normal. You was normal.
Yeah, I was normal.
But now, it doesn't have to be in drug. A cup of coffee.
Yep.
Some people have become so addicted to, I don't know how I got on this, but
yeah, I know.
that a cup of coffee, they're hard to get along with until they get their.
Yeah, they get that coffee.
What? You weren't born with no coffee in your hand.
I know. I see people all the time say that, like, don't talk to me until after I have my first cup. But I never drunk coffee. I used to see my grandma drink it all the time. But now, for some reason, I got to have it before 7:45, maybe 7:50, and I don't even know why. But it's not like the black. It's more like hot chocolate the way I fix it.
Well, I call it coffee cake with the sugar in the milk.
Yeah. With the cream, I don't use no sugar, but yeah, it's basically coffee cake.
But and the only thing I use as a parallel, and if we could look at it, this is what happened in our society.
Yeah.
That's the psychology of, okay, I didn't like it first, but now everybody's doing it, and I feel comfortable because everybody's seen to be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm accepted. And years ago, because I started with the juveniles years ago, it was nowhere bad as it is now. Mrs. Graham, Rita Graham downtown here. And she ended up DYS, and they think it's sent to Columbus later. But it's always that peer pressure trying to impress or fit in or being accepted.
Yeah.
And if we can't get the positive, I found out then, if they can't get the positive attention, they resort to get.
We're going to do the negative attention.
Yeah. At least I'm getting some attention. Somebody looking at me do something. I'm wowing them.
Yeah.
I had a cousin who used to love that song. I think it was OJ's or something. Then we blow your mind.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Out to do something really out of the box in a negative way for attention. That's the basic thing it is.
Yeah, I see that like really on a regular basis, like with the kid or whatever, prominently quiet or whatever. And I think because they don't maybe get attention or whatever their void is, they don't know how to voice it. I wouldn't know if as a young person say, Bishop, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that or whatever, because usually what I see is a bunch of young guys trying to be men, trying to be tough or whatever, and I got to make sure that I'm the same way, so I wouldn't know how to come and communicate that. So like you said, it's a lot of mimicking, it's a lot of followers, like a lot of followers, because the circumstances or the numbers say, if you come from a single parent home, this is going to be what's going to happen to you. But it's kids that's out there with two parents in the house that got good jobs, and people like me. My mom had a master's degree. I just was over there in the neighborhood because let me see what they doing over there. And look, it looked fun. Yeah, you get curious, and then you start following. And then you also have some of those kids like where they hear a lot of hollering and violence and all that. They don't even move because, like you said, they conditioned to it. Their bodies and their minds conditioned that they would just stand there. You might hear gunshots and they'll just stand there because they conditioned and stuff to that. So I think just maybe trying to teach those kids that it's okay, that if you a little, what they call it, weird, or you're a little bit different, and maybe you like to read and be by yourself and stuff, that's it's more normal being that than it is being that person standing up on the table for that unwanted attention, or they don't get their way, and and just my grandma show your natural, don't do that. So
it's like everybody capitalize on the youth anymore. It take a whole village to raise one child. We used to say that.
Yes.
And nobody seemed to be really willing to invest in people as they are in the figures in a monetary sense. I was just thinking, even the military, when I was in the military, I learned that they quit drafting young men after I think it was 26 years old. And the whole subject was because now they are able to think past and have a value.
Yeah.
Because when you're young, you tell them to go in the back of that yard, you got a big bad white, and you can, but you don't tell the guy you go in his backyard, they got big bad rifles too.
Right.
So the young mind feel like he's invincible. And they seem to not be able to think beyond that.
Yeah, that right there.
And that's where it takes people like special people like you to come in. And like I said, it's not a monetary thing. No. You don't have to tell me. That's just like ministering to pastor.
You don't. Yeah, it's and I think people like if you going in looking for the wrong reason, then you probably should go do something else, because the glory you get is making sure that kid makes it wherever he wants to go, whatever his mission, if you do goals and stuff like that, to make sure they get to their goal, and us being part of the village and stuff like that. Like, you see Bishop, they respect Bishop, how and treat you like that. Sometimes they treat an older person like, oh, man, I ain't trying to hear that, you know what I'm saying? Get out of my face. And you looking, I'm like, man, he older than you. Anybody got gray hair, they got something you can learn from, you can tell. So that's why I try to get in the mind state of whatever, because their culture cancels out the older. And I like, if it wasn't for us, y'all wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for my grandma, my great aunts, and my grandmother, y'all would never be here. So I think it's a thing where they got to understand, and you got to kind of go back and say, hey, we was great, we was this, we was that. They don't even know nothing about civil rights, because some schools just covered in February. And they definitely just now getting on to Juneteenth, but we've been knowing about Juneteenth forever. If we didn't know, our parents or somebody made sure that we knew that if we weren't taught in school. So,
and a lot of it by word of mouth, because it was not the literate area that we had looked at a book.
Right.
I mean, you can go back hundreds of years.
Yeah.
As you sit back and listen, I am one. In fact, I was the one coming up. I hung around with my great uncles.
Right.
And hung out with them, and my uncles and so forth. And it's some value to learn, just the present. You got years of action right around you. Even if you find an old drunken, he can tell you something.
Yeah. Tell you how not to be a drunken person. How not to live under that bridge.
Exactly. And I had such an uncle that used to tell my younger brother, he said, let me tell you something. They say you look like me. He said, but don't be like me.
Right.
And that was the honest advice. And when my brother really understood the magnitude,
right.
He might have went on and told him every little thing he got into it, but he said, I'm looking at myself in the mirror, but don't do like I did.
Don't do like I did, right.
And if you love somebody, you care somebody, that's where it comes to love and care. And I mean, almost in every occupation and field I could think of, you got some that just there for the monetary, and you have some there because it's a heart thing.
Yeah.
And like you said, people like yourself, me, They look at the preachers or those that's making big money off of it and try to equate that to the village leaders.
Yeah.
And your village leaders are not those. But why you constantly say, oh, they're in there for the money? You know you're not. You don't have no money to give them, so how can you?
Yeah, I know. I say where the money at all the time because I never, you know, I got a full-time job and plus I got other business with my brother, so that really fused it. I never ask anybody for anything because I know sometimes when you ask, they come in and can try to control. I don't need you to tell me how to be the village because I was already taught by the village to be the village. So sometimes when you come in like that, like you can donate and you can do whatever and stuff like that, but we have to be very careful about them coming in and then them pushing their agenda.
Yes.
No, I don't want you to go to school and work with them kindergartners. You know, why not? When y'all had the Say No to Drug program, everybody knew that. You know, I was just in a meeting with the juvenile judges and was telling them that, like, they were trying to figure out what happened. I said, well, y'all got all that money. One thing y'all could do is put out some positive messages for all this social media stuff that they listen to, like, you know, like, keep it simple, sir. We should be just as much broadcasting that as we do, you know, the negative stuff.
Oh, yes.
And they, like, kind of agreed, but I told them, the problem with some of y'all in the meeting, there was no disrespect to the churches and stuff like that. I'm working whether one person or 10,000 people die. I'm working every day trying to change the numbers or change the narrative and stuff like that. I'm not one of those persons that get on because, oh, it's 11, now I'm gonna get on Facebook and I'm gonna start talking. Let's have a meeting. Bishop, I'm gonna have a meeting, then we all gonna sit there and then the next day we ain't gonna do nothing. We're gonna go back to whatever we do. And those kids is crazy and get to talk about them, but you don't never come and help. Like if we put out something, when they was having a problem with fights at DPS and we was asking people to come and volunteer, just come there and be, you know, the more adults or whatever, the better. We can just, you ain't gotta say nothing, just kind of look because sometimes they won't cut a fool or act up if they see a whole lot of adult supervision, which it worked, but you know, getting people to show up and then it's my name got to be first, Bishop. I don't care what you do. You know, you get into that thing like that. But if we on the same mission, if you tell me, Coach Byrd, kids matter to me too, that's all I need to know. I wouldn't care I don't care if my name on there or not because my work is going to speak for itself. That's all I care about. That if somebody came to you and said, what do you know about this young man or whatever, you can say, I seen this man in action. I seen him do this. The same thing with you. Yeah. What you know about Bishop? I met Bishop and that's all at the end of the day. That's what's going into that grave with me is my name. Yes. You know, it ain't my money. It ain't this or that. It's how I was when I was here, the work I put in, what I said, God, I'm going to do, and what he told me to do. and that's it. All the rest of the stuff don't matter. So.
And you and I can see things are big changes because even the PTA.
Yes. What is that? What is that, Bishop? I don't know what that is. What is that? That's a new word? That's a slang word, Bishop? What's that? Oh, the parent? Okay. All right. I'm with you, Bishop.
But the parent was a part of.
What is a part of? Okay.
The Parent-Teacher Association.
Okay. I'm 52, Bishop, so I'm trying to think. Now, I ain't heard that term. That's like, you went way, way back somewhere with that. Now, I understand. Yeah, PTA, it's problematic here around here.
Yeah, this is the breakdown.
Yeah.
The concern in the home of the parent. They care enough for their child to know and what they are doing. In our time, in my time, that was a concern of the parent. And they would attend the PTA meeting. I understand what their teachers tell me, well, it's been a few years now because it's great. Yeah. That they don't, like you say, it's non-existent.
It's non-existent.
There is no communication between the parents and the teachers. Yeah. The administration, the education administration has no relationship or line of communication with the parents of the students. That's a breakdown right there.
That's a definite breakdown because if you're my child's teacher, Bishop, I need to be connected with you because he spent a lot of time, 180 some days with you and 14, I think it's 1,460 hours a school year that the kid spends or whatever. And I'm not gonna have any type of communication or no tie with you. I'm not gonna come to a meeting. That's definitely
right there.
Yeah. We can put that as probably number 1 or 2 on the board, on the big board.
Yes.
As that's probably what needs to change
yes.
before anything. That right there.
And a lot of parents even have the attitude, they know it's bad and they know kids out of control. I'd be glad when y'all go to school. Wait a minute.
I work in the school system.
What?
Yeah, I work. I know they do it. They treat it more like a babysitting service instead of an educational institution.
Exactly.
You know, so and I work at Richard Allen 4th through 8th grade. So it's a little bit different dynamic where the parents have to be invested. Otherwise, I'm the one to come knock on the door and say, Bishop, you missed the meeting. You didn't volunteer your hours. You didn't do this. We might have to put little Jenny out until you start doing better, and then that way you invested in stuff like that instead of me calling, I don't care, do what you're gonna do, and you know, you kind of get that, and you're like, as a parent myself, I'm coming up to the school. If he bad, then I'm gonna handle him. But every time they call me, I'm gonna communicate. So I think that is a definite start in the right direction. You know, trying to get that PTA and stuff.
Like a mentality of Rich Allen is resurfacing.
Yes.
In the beginning, we were talking on another show how that this is where it started.
This is where it started.
The church school.
The church school. Yes.
and unless we get back to that, unless we come back, it's always going back to the more positive things, even scripture type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he speaks of. Find the old path, walk. I'm not changing the new, the success, the move ahead, the modernization. That's okay, but let's look at the old path, the heart of the working together.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is so many things have come against the youth and the children. Now, 911, dial 911 on your parent.
Yeah, dial 911 on your parent.
That was another breakdown of the authority of the leadership.
Yeah.
There's no way in the world you can lead children, you're taking away the authority in the home.
Mm-hmm.
The parents have no authority. The parents don't want no authority. And to push all the authority to some stranger, there's something wrong with that, isn't it?
And often somebody, the stranger, doesn't look like us, and then that's really starts the problem when we don't teach that. Normalize in our community. We don't teach, you know, everybody's human, everybody's the same, especially if you're a Christian. We don't teach that. But if that person happens to step in when the family is struggling and stuff like that, then it's almost instantaneous that I don't like them, I don't like the system, and now, along with all the other stuff that you got going on, you have to dissect and do something about that issue and stuff right there too. So it's just a lot of things going in the funnel. So, I mean, I appreciate you and everybody that's doing their particular thing, because as long as I know you in your corner working, Tony in his corner working, I'm in my corner, we all respect each other and what we do.
Exactly.
I would never come in and say, Tony ain't doing nothing at Chronic Solutions and Shaq ain't doing nothing with the males of color in the school. It's never gonna be that. Yeah. We have a group where we all got a specific area that we excel in, and that's where I'm gonna stay. I'm not gonna be over here with the bishop and stuff, because I don't know all of that, Bishop. I would tell you, Bishop, I need to go back over there. You know what I'm saying? But some people won't do that. Like you said, they'll come out because they'll see this or that money. Yes. And I got a PhD and I took a training class, and you want to be certified about the money, but you know, if you don't have no heart and stuff in it, it's gonna fail. And those kids, they're gonna see right through you. They're gonna look at you and you're gonna swear. Now you want to get them therapy because they ain't talking, because they can see through you. They don't want to talk to you.
Right. As Paul even said, one plant,
yep.
another water.
Yeah.
It takes God to give the increase.
Yep.
That's just like a natural garden.
Yeah.
I could put all the seeds out there, man. I put water and hope.
That's all you can do is hope. But if you don't go out there and talk to them, and if you ain't put your hands in that dirt and turned it and all that, then you probably just wasted your whole time and your back and everything trying to plant something. It's not going to flourish.
So and I know it's true to start, even though we have the community, even though we have the village concept, we still have to get somewhere the involvement of the parents to realize they are not leaders. And that's another problem. Some of the parents want to be kids.
Yeah, they do.
They don't want the separation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it has to be. That's another thing. It takes a parent to be a parent. A parent cannot really effectively run with the child. He can enjoy the child, do things with the child, but when they began to
be the buddy system, that's the problem. That's the problem, and it's happening more with the male and the mother and the male, where you see that type of thing. You looking like that's your son, or that's your little cousin, or I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's your little brother. Like it's so bad that in some cases you can't really tell what's the dynamic of, you know, that situation, and you know, and calling them kings. And I'm like, he's not old enough to be a king. Number one, he's a prince. You can call him prince, but you call him king. And then in his mind, I'm the king, so the king can do whatever he want. That's what they think. And then after a while, if I'm running around being the king and you saying I'm the man of the house and I'm that, then I start acting accordingly. You lost all your power, your ability. You can never say nothing to me. And I tell the mothers, when you start doing that, he's going to push you down. He's going to take your keys. And he's going to drive off in your car.
Yeah. And I know it's a complex of some single mom needing something in their home, but they should never have to revert to a child and put that weight on the child. And that's happening only too often, too many times. So your address, I know your hands into a lot, and like I said, I've been on the shadow edge so many times, and my God, we need 100,000 more like you.
Yeah, we do.
To be there, but we only can do our little bit at a time. It's impossible for us to take in the whole thing, because believe it or not, it even stress you.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I used to tell myself, I have to go somewhere to shake this.
Yeah. Because
even your heart out there, and you're putting your heart into it, it can be stressful.
Yeah. I had a nice, good curly head of hair when I started. So I know about the stress, but it's like, if you love it, you're like in there. And you know how almost like, you know you probably should be doing something else, but you think you're gonna miss something. Remember how we was younger, I gotta go down to because everybody gonna be at the park, I can't miss it, but you might have done something that you can't go. Yeah. So that's kind of like my anxiety, even though I will like, you know, do vacations and stuff. I was in Vegas. My daughter got married 2 weeks ago when all this stuff was going on, and my phone was just going off, and I was like, well, I'm in it, so I can't say my daughter getting married or whatever. So I'm still fielding calls in between the reception, in between dinner and stuff like that. Like, okay, I'll be back. Let me reach out and call. And I was still kind of working, because, like, you know, you always working.
Oh, yes.
You could be somewhere, you know, kick back and sitting there and drinking some water and ain't thinking about this. You ain't worked on your sermon. You ain't done nothing. And you still working. You still working. You on call. Bishop, I need you. I just left there. Bishop, I need you. You know, so it's kind of like that. But it's good to be busy, because I want to make sure that whatever part I felt like, and I'm sure I done paid it back 100 times, but I can't do it until, you know, the man upstairs, till he tell me, you know, now you go to Florida or whatever, sit down, and I'll make something wrong with your phone. But until then, I'm going, you know, be in it and training some of the younger brothers and the youth to be the next ones up. So, you know, to pass it down and stuff, because, you know, we got to pass them a lit torch, not that torch. Yes. I can't blow the torch out.
And hand it to
Here you go, like you give it to me, Bishop, it ain't lit.
What I'm gonna do?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, so that's one thing that we got to make sure that, you know, and it just equate to that knowledge and whatever the understanding and stuff. Tell our story, pass it down to them, and hopefully it's gonna touch them, it's gonna reach them, and they'll be okay.
Yeah, that's the word too. When you have been strengthened, strengthen your brethren. And we hold on to that concept and mentality to strengthen someone else.
Yeah.
And not the mentality, let them make it, I made it.
That's the worst. That's the worst.
That they don't feel like they obligated to help anyone. I hit it hard. Well, good thing you hit it hard. Now you know what it is to hit it hard. Now you should be not somebody else to go through the same thing that you went through, but that they can sort of springboard and go beyond. Like I tell a lot of babies, I got a lot of babies, I call them baby.
You're right.
I want you to be better than I am.
Yeah.
You did this. If I did this in my time with the situation that I was facing, I don't want you to do just what I did and feel like you're successful.
Right.
I want you to do more than I had to accomplish.
Yes.
Now, if the Savior felt that way, hello.
Yes. Right.
What did he leave you saying?
Right.
Greater works you would do.
Greater works you would do.
I know you're impressed by what I did, but my desire is you to do greater than what I have done.
And I'm out of here early. You know, I'm out of here early. I'm still a young, you know, young person. So yeah, I definitely understand that biblical and that spiritual part of it, and you try to impart and stuff like that. So I'm glad that you touched on that parenting part or whatever, because I think a lot of people glaze over that. And another added to that, we also have to listen to the young people.
Yes.
We get so caught up in being a respectful thing, and kids shouldn't talk, but they're different. So we got to let them talk.
Yes.
So we know what they want, and exactly, because we can't help them. It ain't like us where your mama knew, boy, I know what's wrong with you, and like that. And I think letting them talk, we can help them better, and we can help them a whole lot quicker.
Oh, yes.
So we don't have to keep on. It's already to the onion right now. Here we go. This is what you're going to do. I'm going to call Bishop because you need some spiritual. He going to work with your family. Has Sister Jasmine, because I know she a life coach. You need to go talk to her. You need to read her book, because I get,
Yes.
that's my friend. Her son goes to my school. I work with him also. But it's having that database of people to call.
Yes.
So, because I know I can't do it. And that's what we do, and sometimes they don't do that.
Right.
Some people don't do that. They try to do the whole thing, like we talked about. You're not equipped to do it.
That's right.
I'm not a bishop. You got to go talk to Bishop. You got to go talk to Tony. And I think the more and more like this message and stuff get out, I think people will start, like you said.
Yeah.
It's the same road out there. They done paved it how many times? It's the same road that they originally put down after they started riding them horses over there. When they put that first concrete, they just layering it up and, re-strengthening and rebuilding, and people still driving on it to this day. So I think that's what we got to get back to.
I don't know. I did construction. I was 30 years.
Oh, see, I'm talking about you done it all, Bishop. You done it all. I'm gonna have to come back and sit down and talk to you outside the show, so I can see.
And sometimes in parts of the street, you dig down. Sometimes you find old rails
Oh,
and old bricks.
old bricks from the trolley cars.
Yes.
Okay.
So yes, and the strengthening and rebuild, and it's something that we need to do. And I love the part where you were sharing about the listening part.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I got a lot of babies. They love me. And people don't understand why, because I listen.
Right.
And yes, I had to close my spiritual ears in there sometimes. But the reason I do it, because I mention so much like a psychiatrist. He can go in there and lay on the bench, the ones that can afford to go to him.
Right.
And you go in there and tell him what you want to hear. He want to hear what's socially normal in your head. And he sit there and listen, he'll write. But he's not able to do anything till you get tired. One day that person walks, I'm tired of talking. I'm going to tell him like it is. Guess what he said in his mind? Now we're getting
somewhere. Yep.
Because a lot of times, even your children, they tell you what they think you want to hear. They continue to repeat, well, this is what I know what they want to hear.
Yeah.
But when they get tired of telling you what they think you want to hear, and they began, even it might take anger to come out. Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
We're getting to the root of what's really bothering you, causing you to do what you continue to do.
They think we arguing, and I say no. We just now talking.
Yes.
We just now starting to talk. So that's a lot of their mentality. They do that and give you that soft dance. I'm gonna tell Bishop what he want to hear. Tell Coach Byrd what I have been doing it. I've been working on it. I promise I've been. But and then one day when you come in and you just totally different. Like I just come in and flip the chair over and all that stuff. I'm tired of that. And then it's like now it'll come out, So we know when to turn it on and turn it off. We know when to, kind of ignore them and stuff, because we used to them. They are young people or whatever, so we know how to bring the best out of them. And when we meet in, because everybody is different, so we, different tactics. And I play with them all the time. Like, okay, so I listen to the songs or whatever, and I'll just be riding, or we'll be somewhere, and I'll say the lyric, and they be looking like, how you know that? I'm like, what? I ain't supposed to know it. It's like it's music. I was born into hip hop. Yeah, what y'all listening to? So, we have rap battles and stuff like that, and then you don't look so far apart. And like you said, I'll be listening here like, what? I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna have to go take a shower or something after I listen to this, but nonetheless, I got to ask, why do you like that? Do you know what they talking about? You got a mom, a sister, all of that stuff or whatever. And it's like, well, we just like the things and some of the stuff he's saying we can identify. So write it down then. Write in the book what you identify, why you feel like this, and why do you think he feels like that, and he wrote it. Do you think it's more entertainment and stuff? Because I used to do security when I lived in Atlanta and some of the other places for the rappers and all that, and I tell them, now what you see is what they want you to see.
Exactly.
But when I'm doing security, we're behind a gated community, and their kids go to private school, and they don't even listen to their own parents' music in the house.
Yes.
Huh? No, they don't. I'm telling you. And I will call, and I will give them the phone, ask them whatever questions you want. And they'll tell them it's entertainment.
Yes.
It's entertainment.
Yes.
He said, don't listen to, one of my guys in the industry said, don't listen to what I'm saying when I'm rapping. Listen to what I'm saying in my interviews and when I'm speaking and stuff, because I'm really telling you how it is.
Yes.
He said, I'm getting this part of the money because I'm coming back. And he has, helped the community, schools, mentoring programs and all that stuff. Yeah. We used to them in, but everybody ain't like that. So.
No. It's interesting. It's a blessing to be able to sit and talk, and I'm glad to hear that another brother that has a concern from the heart and not just from a monetary, as the scriptures speak of, the minister that's only there for the hire, they call a hireling. In other words, when the pay quit coming in, then you're not going to be there. And like I said, this thing go across the board.
Yes.
I tell a nurse, all nurses are not Florence Nightingale.
Right. Yes. Don't have bedside manner at all. Yeah, I agree with that.
They're there for the money.
But they know, Bishop, if they give it to me and you, we ain't gonna do nothing with it but give it away anyway. So that's how much we don't care about the monetary thing or whatever. Everybody pushing and shoving around. I got to get money. I got to get grant. It's free. It's free to go to the Air Force Museum. It's free to go to Riverscape. Yes. It's $1 ice cream change in your ashtray to, to do that or whatever. It don't cost nothing to have that conversation with them. So.
And it's the same thing I try to show with a lot of groups and that I have brought. I've carried a lot of groups to the Air Force Museum.
Yeah.
I said, do y'all know in New York, the Air Force Museum is not as good as this, and they pay $75 a ticket?
Yeah.
Here and then we have this access, and I don't know how many I've been carried out there.
Yeah.
And I've been a lifetime member for the Creation Museum down in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And to carry them down there, it's so many positive things. And because I'm lifetime, I can carry 4 at least free. Each time I go.
Yeah.
But there are things right down there and right Dunbar down there. It's history right there. How many of our young people been in there even know who Dunbar is? And I was telling other elders, I said, look, everybody don't get to be 80 years old.
Right.
Everybody don't get to be 90 or even 70.
70, right.
I said, but we have to reach our children. Paul on Dunbar did all the things he did when 40
years old, yeah.
But had he been pushed down or had to wait till he got 60, he would have never done anything. He would never done that.
Right.
So we have to grab and cultivate the young ones and not look over them. And sometimes we have that tendency, not a new thing either.
Right.
Because Christ had to look at the disciples and say, they said, put the kids away. He said, no, suffer them to come. Start with them early.
Yep.
Get the mind young. I know we're at the end of the time in the show, but it went quickly.
Right, it went quickly, it did.
But we're talking about something good.
Yeah, that was
and
important.
I trust someone that's listening grabs hold to. We're just talking here, but we all have to go from our talk, and as you said earlier, to doing something. Yep. And not just coming back to another meeting and talking about, they bad.
I don't want to come to more meetings. I don't want to come to more meetings. I'll come, but I don't know. We'll come and be supportive, but meetings and events don't do us no good. If you want to have a meet, let's meet in the neighborhood. Let's meet where the stuff is really happening. And, you grab a kid or two or whatever, and then commit to that day. If it's just one day a month, at least he know that Wednesday, third Wednesday every month, Bishop gonna be here, and we gonna fish or whatever we gonna do, and that's that's where that spark and stuff starts, because they gonna go and tell, and they're gonna be like, I want to hang out with the Bishop. Next thing you got 2, and then if you like me, you gonna have a carload. Like I keep hearing you saying all them babies, I got them too. Next thing I know, I'll look up, boy, I didn't even know you was in the car. You know what I mean? So it's like, but it's good, and it's a tremendous responsibility, because not only the kids I mentor and work with, they make me keep in line because I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to be out here doing something and then they look and say, New Center 7, Mr. Byrd, what is it? What? He didn't lie to you. You know, so that, you know, how that works twofold or whatever. I'm sure you've been with a bishop like, I'm all the way up here now and I got to make sure, though, even though we all human, but it's just a extra added incentive when you got those babies looking up and they saying, if you fail me, what we going to do? So, you know, that's what make you work extra hard and, you know, make us go 24/7 and how we enjoy vacations, but we don't enjoy vacations and never really want to leave because we, you know, so.
But some of my babies got to the age, they got their degrees and they got their work and now they said, come to our city, come to our state. We put you up, you can stay with us or you pay for your hotel.
Right.
Okay, baby, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna call you back. I'm gonna call you back. So yeah, we in it.
Yes. But tell me, how would someone get in touch with you and what are you looking for in the community? What could you say that you right now would love to see happen and get in touch with you to make those things happen?
So anybody listening, kind of listen to our message and we talking that me, myself, and all the guys that I run with, me at the VMBC 937, we mentor kids. We want to help, you know, in any situation that they might be in. The solutions with Tony Ruby also, where he works with the reentry kids, also with Marlon Shackelford, also with Coach Powell, also with Sean Walton, also with the other guests that couldn't make it today, Anthony Parker with his Extraordinary Men, where we work with 90 guys during the summer, 90 kids,
yes.
And we teach them the basics, how to change a tire, how to scramble egg,
right.
You know, so we have people from all walks of life that come in. So like you would be there all week because you 6, 7, 8 professionals. I'd be like, Bishop, tell them about when you was in the military. Tell them about when you was in police department, you know, and stuff like that. So if you come and speak, then you're going to really speak to them about the thing. If you're a plumber, bring some stuff so they can work and all that kind of stuff. So and it's so many of us. It's so many, and some of the guys just work their corner and it don't be publicized or whatever, so it look like they don't, but we actually working. And they can get in touch with me because I don't turn nobody down. Okay. I just don't. So you can get in touch with me at 937-516-1398 or over at Chronic Solutions Building, which is 1415 Salem Avenue, Dayton, Ohio, the old Belmont Laboratories building. Yes. Got that and renovated and stuff like that. But
I was invited.
So pretty much all you got to do is say, hey, where's Coach Byrd? I'm trying to coach Coach Byrd. I'm on all social media platforms. Darren Byrd. Twitter is DKB937. So I'm always available. Now, call the Bishop. Now he got my contact numbers too. You forget, be like, let me call Bishop. I can get it because he has my contact information too.
Yeah. Well, we thank you again for being our guest, and
I appreciate it.
I knew it was going to be great, but you know we don't have enough people, and that's why I like to network the positive things in our community.
I appreciate it.
Everybody always see the negative.
Yeah.
And the news media tell you all the bullshit. But we do have good people. We do have people concerned about you, have people concerned about their community, and every village concept we have here, it takes the whole village, the whole responsibility. Whatever failure it is, it rests on the village leaders.
Village leaders, that's right. I accept it. I accept that, Bishop.
So we thank you and thank God for great men like, he don't want me to call him Doctor, Reverend, he want me to just call him Darren.
That's it, Darren, that's it.
Darren, God bless you. And we thank you again for joining us. Those of you on video, whether you're on YouTube, you got something you're positive to move on from. If you don't know how to move forward,